There is a question that connects three very different centuries, three very different empires, three very different corners of the American continent. What made the Spanish conquistadors stop in their tracks? What kept the United States Army awake at night, not for months, but for decades? What force was so overwhelming, so complete, so terrifying, that the most powerful military nations on Earth threw soldiers, money, and strategy at it, and still could not win cleanly? The answer is not one people, it is three, and each of them, in their own time and in their own way, made the world afraid. Number 3, the Apache. The Apache, Arizona, 1880. You are riding with a column of U.S. cavalry through a canyon so quiet, it feels like the landscape itself is holding its breath. There is no warning. An arrow appears from nowhere. The soldier beside you falls. You spin in your saddle, scanning the ridgeline, the rocks, the scrub brush, the silence. Nothing. No movement, no figure, no sound of retreat. Only the wind. You were never supposed to see them. That was the point. The Apache were not a single tribe. They were a network, the Chiricahua, the Mescalero, the Jicarilla, bound together not by a single chief or a single city, but by a philosophy of war that no European power had ever encountered before. While armies marched in formation, while generals drew battle lines on maps, the Apache mastered something far more powerful than strategy. They mastered invisibility. An Apache warrior could move 80 kilometers in a single day, through terrain that would kill an unprepared man within hours. He knew every canyon, every dry riverbed, every hidden water source in a territory the size of a small country. He could read a broken branch, interpret a pattern of stones, move through open ground without being seen. They struck at dawn, took weapons, horses, supplies, and disappeared before anyone could form a response. The Mexican government offered bounties for Apache scalps. The United States deployed thousands of soldiers. Neither was enough. One man became the symbol of everything they could not defeat: Geronimo. With a band of fewer than 40 warriors, he held off 5,000 U.S. troops for over a year. He did not surrender until his family was taken from him. He laid down his weapons in 1886. The land he had fought for was already gone, but the fear he had planted in the hearts of every soldier who had ever searched those canyons for a shadow, that was never fully removed. Number 2, the Comanche.
I don't see anything.
Faster now.
Just more
If the
empty
Apache
land.
were the ghost you never saw, the Comanche were the storm you heard before it arrived. Texas, 1850. You are standing in the open plain. A sound reaches you, deep, rhythmic, growing, and for a moment you think it is thunder, but the sky is clear. And then they crest the horizon. Dozens of riders, then hundreds, moving at a speed that does not seem possible on horseback. You have about 30 seconds. The Comanche were, by any serious measure, the greatest horsemen in human history. A Comanche boy learned to ride before he could fully walk. By the age of 10, he was already more skilled on horseback than any cavalry officer in the United States Army. But what made them truly terrifying was what they could do at full speed. They could hang off the side of a galloping horse, using the animal's body as a shield, while firing arrows beneath its neck. One arrow every 3 seconds. Accurate enough to kill.
Fast
Attack
enough
now!
to be gone.
Move
before a
forward!
rifle could be
Warriors
reloaded.
assemble!
Their empire, Comanche, stretched across a territory as vast as Western Europe. Every tribe within it either paid tribute or was destroyed. Every expedition into it risked annihilation. They rode hundreds of kilometers into Mexico to raid, struck settlements, vanished before any response could be organized. Even the Texas Rangers, men who had been recruited specifically to fight them, feared them. In the end, the United States Army did not defeat the Comanche on the battlefield. They could never catch them there. Instead, they destroyed the buffalo. Millions of animals slaughtered systematically until the plains that had sustained the Comanche for generations were empty. Without the buffalo, the empire had nothing left to stand on. Quanah Parker, the last great Comanche chief, surrendered in 1874, not because he had been defeated, because his people were starving. Number 1, the Aztecs. The music shifts entirely, heavier, more ancient, more vast. And then there is first place. The Aztecs. Not nomads, not raiders moving through the wilderness. An empire. A civilization so vast, so complex, so deliberately engineered to project power, that when the Spanish arrived in 1519 and saw the capital city of Tenochtitlan rising from a lake in the middle of a valley, even they, hardened soldiers who had seen the great cities of Europe, went silent. 200,000 people. Aqueducts carrying fresh water across the lake. Floating gardens feeding the population. Pyramids so tall they could be seen from a day's ride away. But inside those pyramids, something that made even Cortez pause. The Aztecs believed the sun required blood to rise each morning, not symbolically, literally. And so they fed it. Thousands of sacrifices each year. Captives led to the summit of temples before enormous crowds, their hearts removed while still beating, offered upward. This was not hidden. This was not shameful. This was the center of Aztec civilization, the engine that drove everything. And it shaped the way they made war. Aztec warriors did not fight to kill. They fought to capture, because a dead enemy on the battlefield was a wasted offering. A living captive brought home in chains was a gift to the gods. Their elite soldiers, the jaguar warriors and eagle warriors, wore armor of thick quilted cotton strong enough to stop arrows, carried the macuahuitl, a weapon unlike anything the Spanish had seen, a wooden club edged with razor-sharp obsidian blades, sharp enough, Spanish accounts record, to sever a horse's head in a single swing. When Cortez arrived with his soldiers, his horses, and his diseases, he did not defeat the Aztecs alone. He found allies. Every tribe that had lived under Aztec rule, that had watched its people taken to those pyramids, joined him. In 1521, Tenochtitlan fell. A city of 200,000 people reduced to rubble in a siege that lasted months. A civilization that had built one of the most extraordinary cultures in human history. Gone. 3 peoples, 3 different centuries, 3 different kinds of power. The Apache taught the world that the land itself is a weapon, and the warrior who knows it best can hold off armies indefinitely. The Comanche taught the world that mastery of a single skill, taken to its absolute extreme, can build an empire that stands for generations. The Aztecs taught the world something darker, that civilization and terror are not opposites, that the most sophisticated culture in a hemisphere can exist alongside its most systematic cruelty. These were not simple people. They were not savages from the margins of history. They were forces, intelligent, adaptive, formidable forces that shaped continents and challenged the most powerful nations of their time. Empires feared them. History remembers them. And if you listen carefully enough, in the silence between the stories, you can still hear why.